It is the Matt Mosley Show, the show that never rests. And one of the faster growing YouTube shows around, thanks to you guys. The Z-Man with us today, filling in for Scotty Swingler. Scotty Swingler on assignment. The man loves live music, likes doing things, likes moving around the country. So I bet that's what he's doing. But good, wherever he is. I mean, I needed him earlier and I couldn't reach him, but that's okay. That's okay. Because Z, I just am so patient and so happy when I can't reach them. But the Z-Man is with me. And Z, you think this is a good time for Pete Souza checking in with me as we start the show today? Do people think I can just sort of take calls during the live show? Maybe they do. Maybe that'd be fine. Z, we could just bring Pete Souza in. I want to tell everybody at about 2:15, 2:20, kind of start, kind of getting ready and get prepared. We are going to play. We've got Joey McGuire joining us. All right, and we talked to Joey this morning at about 10:30 and had a really good visit with him. But Joey McGuire joins the Mosley Show. What a day to have him, too. All this craziness happening at Michigan, all these changes, all these coaches, all these new hires. And by the way, for our Baylor audience, there'll be some Baylor talk that comes up with Joey. And then also, I'm proud to tell you that we will have the first interview with Joe Klanderman, the new Baylor defensive coordinator. All right, when they make a hire, they get them on with Mosley as quickly as possible, and that will happen. And so that'll be great. I think he'll meet with the media perhaps as early as Monday. I don't know. I mean, some of this I don't know if I'm supposed to put out or not. But anyway, whenever it's coming up soon. But we will have the first kind of exclusive one-on-one with Joe Klanderman, the Baylor new defense coordinator. Now, I am very well aware that Baylor people, the Joey thing is Joey McGuire because, of course, Baylor could have hired him after the 2019 season and Rule left, and he wanted the Baylor job, and he loved Baylor. And, one of the things that we'll get into with Joey today was like that moment for him, not getting that job, Aranda getting that job, and someone who was in that room for the interview with Joey, and that was, I believe, Marcus Sedbury at the time, who's since left Baylor to go to, I think, Wisconsin. And Joey reached out to Marcus Sedbury to go, what could I have done better? What could I need to get better? How can I be better in these interviews? And he believes that may have helped him when he sat down with Texas Tech in that interview, which when that happened, he was still a Baylor assistant coach, and that would have been during the 2021 season. And it was some, but I have to say, Joey is very sensitive to the Baylor situation. And so I think he feels like, hey, he wouldn't have had this opportunity if it wasn't all the people that he worked with and working with Matt Rule and working with Dave Aranda. He would have never had the opportunity at Tech had that all not happened. And so very interesting stuff that'll come up in our interview with Joey McGuire. And then we'll put that out everywhere, and we'll have that archived in every possible place you could want to find something like that. So that'll be great, and excited to share all that with you as the day unfolds. And we've got Cowboys news to share with you as the Cowboys get ready for the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday night. And it looks like CeeDee Lamb's a full go. He practiced yesterday. Jerry Jones saying today that a lot of people on this injury list could possibly play for the Cowboys. I'm sure not all of them, but they do have hope for a lot of these players to be able to come back and play. And then we'll continue to look at this Trayvon Diggs situation. That is a weird thing. And there was a kind of a cryptic comment from Brian Schottenheimer. I guess it was 2 days ago, saying something along the lines of, he's got to continue to be, to be good here and away. And it just, whatever was said sort of was a comment like, this guy, he needs to kind of, continue to mature. And that's in itself a little bit of a concerning thing. So lots to get to today. Lots of Baylor. I want to remind you, we had Kim Mulkey yesterday popped on with us late in the show, and that was, in fact, Z-Man, maybe should have, now I'm thinking of all these things, maybe should have played some of that today, because that was kind of a last-minute get, and so appreciative of Colin Pirtle and the gang over there for making that happen and quickly. And that was fun. It was fun to have her on. And what the impetus for me, like, golly, I need to get Nikki on, and should I get her on today or should I get her on yesterday? And they turned it around and made it happen quickly yesterday. And the reason being because they have a major game on Sunday. In fact, as we're preparing for all this NFL stuff Sunday, and I'll be out there at the Cowboys game for that night, but at noon in Fort Worth at Dickies, Baylor and Texas get it on. The Bears are the number 13 team in the country, and those dreaded Longhorns are number two in the country. And I love that the coach doesn't try to play it down. This is a pretty big deal. And Texas is loaded. I mean, they got Madison Booker, they got Roy Harmon. I mean, they come at you from all areas. They got people that can get their own shots that are big people, like incredible point guard. But Baylor has some really good players as well. They got some good defenders. They got some good rebounders. Baylor's got to shoot the ball better. I mean, I would say right now the Bears have a shooting issue. And mainly if Talia or Jana, from a guard standpoint, aren't hitting, I mean, that's it. They're getting too much of their scoring from one source, and they need to expand that a little bit. And they do have good depth, but I would just say, man, at least early in the season, Bugs was having trouble with her shooting. Bella was not shooting the ball well. And again, all these people are capable, but they got to be better at finishing. And again, they're a good rebounding team. They're not the tallest team in the world, but they're a pretty good rebounding team. But they have got to shoot the ball better, and then they got to defend like crazy against the University of Texas. They had a great win against Duke. That game was, where were they playing that game? Wherever they played that game recently, that was a good win. And then they got beat by somebody that they shouldn't have, and then they got the huge Texas game coming up Sunday. So there you go. We're proud to have the Z-Man himself. And, he's a guy that he's a jack of all trades. And if we need him on the Mosley show, he's just like, okay. And, of course, he's a big part of the Doomsday podcast, the Cowboys podcast. And Z, as you love a good late Sunday night, but you got little ones at the house, this will be good for you. Get everybody to bed, and then we do some late night Sunday activities. And Z, pop on with me here for a minute, man. I just like to,
yes, sir.
Let everybody see you. Let's see that full beard. You continue to go out with the mustache. We had some people on earlier. We had Joey on. We were talking about mustaches. Have you ever gone no beard, just mustache?
Just once on a lost bet. Yeah.
And it didn't.
No, I felt like I looked like what was his name? Taggart from Beverly Hills Cop. The guy who, yeah. So
that's an old reference for a young guy like yourself.
I'm not that young. That's the thing. But yeah, no, I felt like that's what I looked like. So never again. I can't pull off the mustache by itself at all. So it's been full beard ever since.
Oh, yeah. Well, listen, we've got a lot going on today, and boy, that was fun. And before we get to Joey at 2:15 today, I thought he was really good, mm-hmm. Zach, on some different fronts. I thought it was interesting because I didn't really press him. I didn't do the whole, well, people say that it's the best team money can buy and blah, blah, blah. Did you notice how he kind of brought some of that up on his own?
He did. Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was interesting when he said something like, there are a lot of teams in this playoff that have bigger payrolls than us. And then at a separate time, he said, trust me, we don't have the biggest payroll. I got the feeling that he's a little sick of that, sick of that storyline, and kind of like, hey, we're doing a pretty dang good job there. And
I wondered, just to your point, if it had been something that constantly gets brought up to him, and he's had to be like, well, that's not the case. So now he's just trying to like get ahead of it in a way of like, I know that this is how I view it, and it's not what everybody else is saying.
Now, I kind of, boy, you got to watch it because Baylor people, there's a way they think of Joey, and they could have hired Joey instead of Dave Aranda, and we don't know if Joey would have pointed it this direction. Who knows? Does 2021 happen with Joey? I don't know for sure. I mean, they obviously Petrie and those guys were incredible. Joey had coached a lot of those guys. He had great relationships with Petrie, and he had coached the defensive ends and the defensive line and a lot of the stuff. So it's not like he didn't know Bernard and have relationships with all those guys, but we'll never know. It'll be the forever what if Baylor had have hired Joey. And I thought he could gloat if he wanted to, and maybe behind in private, maybe he does a little bit. I don't know, but he's very gracious, Z, toward the Bears and that relationship. But Z, man, that there's a lot of Baylor fans that are ready for change, and they did not love seeing, Dave Aranda getting retained. That just the sight of Joey reminds them of the fact, they could have had him. And the nuance, the truth of the matter is, would he have had the Cody Campbell war chest behind him at Baylor? No. Now, who knows? Maybe here's the one thing I can say, Z, and I think you would agree with this, but I'd be anxious to hear what you would say too. No, Baylor would not have had the front-loaded $49 million to spend on like the 2026 class and the transfer portal and all the stuff that Tech was able to come. Baylor was not going to come up with that. But was Joey – here's the problem. Here's where I can defend Mac a little bit. Like, NIL and portal didn't exist in that 2019 season, and LSU had just won a national title, and it did not seem like a bad idea to go get the defensive coordinator on the LSU national championship team. Like at the time, I'm like, man, that kind of makes sense. Now, here's what happened though. COVID hits. And then like during COVID, before I think I'm trying to think when NIL hit. Was it 2000? Did it happen in 2021? Or did it happen right after that season? But anyway, it hits and the portal and NIL hits.
July 1st, 2021.
Okay. So Baylor was getting ready to have. That's when it came about. Okay, so that's July. And then by September, October, that 2021, Baylor has the great season. The bottom line is this. Dave admitted it. Mac admitted it. Everybody. Baylor was slow on NIL. Dave was not great at it, and it's not just Dave's fault. Baylor, for whatever reason, came out of the gate slow. Would Joey have been a better NIL portal guy? It's not even close. I mean, it's obvious. Joey is wired more like a Mac Brown, and he's made for the off season, and he's wired a little bit more like Rule in that way. Joey is wired to get him up in front of fans and get him around boosters and get him around the fans. And Dave is quirky and kind of funny, and I think crazy smart. And I don't think he's a bad speaker. I mean, he doesn't come across because he's so quiet. That stuff maybe turns people off, but his content is generally pretty good. Like he's honestly very interesting and more interesting than most coaches. It's more in his delivery but Joey would have functioned a million times better in NIL and portal. So what Baylor tried to do is play catch up and get, Dave, okay, we pay players. And I don't even think he meant that to be such a thing. But then it became a big thing. And it was like, oh, Baylor's got this, and this is kind of neat. This will kind of be fun. This is going to be interesting to see how they because what was that? When did that happen? Was that after 2022 season when things had not gone well? They had cratered at the end of that season. The we pay players, kind of all that fun stuff might have happened. Well, Keenan was here. Could it have been after the 2023 season? Actually?
I think it was.
Yeah, I think you're right. And so Keenan comes in. Man, there's a lot of things but I think what people will like, Baylor people and Tech people, like he covers a lot of good Tech ground. And he covers a lot of good Baylor stories and all of that stuff. I think what's difficult is knowing like how great that feeling was to have had JT Woods and Petrie and Bernard and Taekwon and just that incredible Boogie, that incredible group of players, and all those guys get drafted. And there were more. There was an offensive lineman in there I'm not even thinking about right now who was drafted off that, or at least maybe undrafted, but he ended up playing in the NFL. But when we will hear later today, Zach, hear Joey talk about like bringing some of those players out to Lubbock, and it almost kind of hurts my heart because it's kind of like they're still Baylor through and through and all that, and they're not like out there doing wreck them and all that kind of stuff. But it does stink to have that kind of advantage and have those kinds of people in the NFL. And for whatever reason, like Tech is using them more than Baylor is. Tech's bringing them out there. That's annoying. And of course, Baylor will try to do better. Baylor has a new AD now, Doug McNamee. And there's a couple things at work here. We'll talk to Clanderman. I'm going to have Doug McNamee on soon, and because he's a good friend of mine, and I obviously wanted him to come on immediately with us after they introduced him. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. Okay, and first it's time. Let's do a deal. I understand what they're thinking, because here's what they're thinking. Let's let Doug come out of the gates. They had a really nice presentation with him. He and President Livingstone. It was a feel-good moment. He's one of us. He's a Baylor guy, all that stuff. I think they want to let him get out there and get a couple of wins, whatever that is. Like when I say a win, I'm saying maybe launch a couple of new initiatives, whether that's a fundraising thing, NIL, whatever. But I think that's what's happening, Z, is they're giving him a chance to kind of get some things rolling, and then he can come on and kind of talk about those things, and maybe we'll break that news right on the Mosley show. I learned a very valuable, Z, I don't know if you heard the show yesterday, me talking about this. And oh, by the way, the Z-Man launched us on Twitter Premium. At least Z and I were both trying to figure that out. Scotty usually does that, but Z's way better than I am at figuring out all the technical stuff. If you are watching on Twitter, go sign up for the YouTube. Go sign up for the YouTube experience, the YouTube channel. And Z, it's kind of cool. Like part of me, wants to do what other people do. And like, you can spend money on these things, and Rogue or whoever can fire these things up and grow your audience. And you know what I've kind of liked doing those, Z?
What's up?
Pure, man.
No,
Purity
Yeah.
The purity of I haven't done any of that. I'm not saying I'm above that. If I get a good bonus for Christmas or something, I think I'll just put it right on YouTube and try to grow my numbers that way. But Z, because of our Baylor stuff and hopefully some Cowboy stuff too, I don't look, I probably should look more than I do. I don't check the numbers that much anymore, but I just happened to look, and on the YouTube, it had gone, like, since the last time I looked, like a week ago or whatever, it had gone up by 1,000 people. And that's cool. That's cool. Now, what I'd like to do is pull my wallet out, get the card out, and start. Have you seen those things where you can hit promote or whatever? And I did that the other day. I'm like, oh, I don't know what that means. Okay, I'm going to promote this. Promote. And then they're like, and then it says 5 days. See, I'm like, well, what does all this mean? It tells you how long you can do it. And I'm like, well, this is interesting. Let me see. And then I get down to the bottom, and I swear it was like $10 or something, or 20 if I did it for 2 days. But again, I'm still trying to do the purity of
I get that.
Just let Mosley's voice just spread
Wash over you.
Yeah. Yes. And let's not just use old cold hard cash. Now that's an old school way of thinking, Z, because what's Baylor trying to do now? What's Tech doing? They're getting the biggest war chest in the world and trying to grow their team, their talent, their audience, all of those things. All right. So I am obviously stuck in the dark ages, but it's time. I wish somebody else, I wish Souza would open up his checkbook and spend some money on growing the Mosley show, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to do it.
Well, if he wants to call you while the show's going on, that's the least he can do.
You think he's listening? I think he does watch us sometimes, although very odd.
I know he does Doomsday. I know for sure he does Doomsday.
He does watch Doomsday?
Yeah.
Very odd thing with Souza that I've not yet understood.
Okay.
Before I came over.
That could be a lot of things.
Yeah, Before I came over to Rogue, and he kind of helped recruit me. It was like I was still over at ESPN Central Texas, where you did some work in your past.
Yep.
And he would have me on all the time, like it's Cowboys insider Mosley, and I'd kind of walk him through some stuff, and we had great conversations, and it felt like he really loved having me on. Since I made the move to Rogue,
has he at all?
How many times do you think he's asked me to come on his show?
Twice.
0. Very upsetting.
I get why.
I mean, it's, and I wear sunglasses sometimes to hide the emotion and not let people see what these things are doing to me.
So is he big timing us then? Like he got you, and then he's just.
It's like he hooked me, got me in the deal. I think we should probably blame it on Scotty. Doesn't that sound almost like a Scotty thing? Like, no, let's not have Mosley. I don't know. Scotty's a guy who's like he's got a lot on his plate, but Scotty is traveling today. And what I love about Scotty is when he does get back to me, it'll be this long paragraph of everything that came up, and somebody spilled milk, and something fell, and he had a book fall, and he had his car. There's a lot of stuff. Scotty always has a little bit of stuff for me, but it'll be fine. We'll hear from Scotty, but we're doing fine. Z, we're managing on our own, but we do miss Scotty, and we always appreciate his efforts. But thank you, C&B. Thank you, Central National Bank. And then, of course, for being our presenting sponsor, for being incredible. One thing we're going to do, Z, is with C&B is Brian Fonville, one of their top executives over there, is in the local symphony. And he like the Waco Symphony, if that's a thing, but I think it is. And he's in the Woodway Orchestra, a Woodway Baptist. They got a great church out there, great orchestra. And he plays really any instrument you could come up with. But I think it's like is he a horn? He does a beautiful job on these things. But anyway, he's going to come in studio as we get closer to Christmas and perform maybe do some Christmas music.
Oh, that'll be cool.
And I thought about maybe having some others that play. Do you play anything?
I used to. I haven't played in years. I know how to play the saxophone, but again, I haven't played in like.
Oh man, Man,
10, 15 years. Yeah.
now, would you be embarrassed to play in front of Fonville because he's such
Oh,
a
yes.
big
No, yeah.
time musician? Okay, so you're saying you don't think you would want to get the sax out?
No, I don't. I'd have to find it first. And I think like all I can play at this point that I remember is maybe the Pink Panther theme song. So that doesn't feel very festive. So yeah, I'm going to I would feel embarrassed in front of somebody with as much talent as Brian has.
Who is your favorite sax player ever?
Coltrane.
Okay. Wait. Okay. There's John Coltrane, Miles Davis,
Yes.
and then Coltrane. Okay.
I think Miles played more trumpet though.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that era.
No, I'm a big blues and jazz guy. So
yeah. You had Miles Davis, you had John Coltrane. For some reason, that Coltrane name just almost has an air of mystery to it. Like it almost just kind of has it's pretty great. All right, we do need to take a break here in a second. One thing we got to do when we come back, Z, is we really need to get people caught up because we've had breaking news on the Michigan front. And Sharon Moore, did anybody have a worse Wednesday than Sharon Moore? Like, was there anybody out there? I mean, other than somebody maybe, yeah. But that's about as bad a day as a human can have. Now, did Sharon bring some of that on himself or all of it on himself? Yes, he did. Today, he had the arraignment. Now, we do like a comeback story in this country. Someday, Sharon Moore, I mean, somebody will give him a chance, but he has fumbled in the largest of ways. One of the biggest fumbles in the history of college football. 39-year-old head coach at Michigan, and gets caught having a relationship there in the office with a staffer. And oh, by the way, the more people dig into this, Wall Street Journal doing it as well, it does look like that once he became the head coach after they won the national title, that is 2024. Once he became the head coach, the woman he was having an affair with, he was married with children, did end up with a large raise. Oh my. And this thing started coming undone Wednesday. And I believe there was a recent breakup of that relationship. And I would imagine it's going to be hard to go back home. We'll see about those relationships. Always feel horrible for the wife and the kids, okay? And I know people say, well, I feel bad for Sharon. Well, listen, Sharon is getting what he's earned. Again, I hope that he has a second chapter and he comes back from it. So I do not wish anybody ill, but I always feel way more empathy. And then of course, then people like turn on the person that he had, like blame whoever. These people will get out there and go, well, you can't hire an attractive executive assistant. Oh, okay. All right. So let's eliminate all like attractive women from jobs. Okay. Because men can't be trusted. I mean, goodness gracious, that takes us back about 200 years or something with that way of thinking. Yes, let's deny attractive women jobs because you think, oh my gosh, they're going to be too tempting. I mean, my gosh, somebody out there that was putting that out there yesterday, and I'm just like, what are we doing? You didn't know I was going to go like women's lib or anything. Little feminism there for you, Z. You just never know where this thing will lead. All right, but we got to get you caught up on the Michigan situation because there are more disturbing things that have happened. We'll react to it. We'll react to Cowboys, and then we will close today's show with an exclusive interview with Texas Tech head coach Joey McGuire, number 4 in the country. They've got that bye, and today he spent, about 27 minutes with the old Mosley show. We were glad to have him. Thank you, CNB. Thank you, Ascension Providence. And we will be back to talk some Michigan in just a moment.
If you want the best for your body, you want Ascension Providence, the largest sports and orthopedics group in Central Texas. Using innovative and cutting-edge technology, we're able to understand your body better than ever, delivering treatment with precision. And with our fellowship-trained and board-certified doctors, you'll receive excellent care. Work with a team dedicated to your health, wellness, and safety.
So you can perform.
At your best.
Ascension Providence, caring for Texas families for over 120 years.
Drive in the fall at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Waco. Huge savings and the best selection in Central Texas. From powerful Ram trucks, Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, to adventure-ready Jeeps and stylish new Dodges, we've got the right ride for you. Upgrading, downsizing, or buying your very first vehicle, Allen Samuels has you covered with friendly service and deals that make driving fun. Don't miss the Drive in the Fall event, only at Allen Samuels.
Come by, let's be friends.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor women's basketball, we didn't know exactly what that partnership would look like.
What brings you into the bank today?
For the last couple of months, I've been noticing a charge on my account, and I would like to block it.
I see. So you have a charge,
Yes?
and you'd like to block it?
Yes.
I think you should take the charge.
What?
Yeah, I definitely think you should take the charge.
I don't think you understand.
Sometimes you just have to take one for the team.
Is there a manager available?
We love that Coach Colin is all about the team. Once we get the vocabulary down, the sky's the limit.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor women's basketball.
I have Mac Rhodes, director of Baylor Athletics, on the phone. Mac, can you tell Peggy why she should take the charge?
Of course she should take the charge. Wait, are you at the bank again? And who is Peggy?
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code Mosley to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code MOSLEY. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play-and-get-terms_DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369.
Everybody at Equalife really has a passion and a real interest in helping people feel well. How much further can we go to get you feeling even better? It is a complete partnership between the two of us.
What if you could clean clean? With bio-based formulas and deep cleaning enzymes. No dyes, phthalates, or mystery ingredients. Just powerful pods for your dishes and laundry. Now you can, with drops made clean, made to clean.
It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
I am obsessed with helping business owners increase their traffic and turn it into profit through the power of Pinterest marketing. It's this amazing platform where people are looking for ideas, inspiration. They have a problem and they're actively looking for a solution.
It's hard to find supplements that work. No, thank you. Plant-based supplements made from the Earth's most powerful plants for your immune health, gut health, workouts, and more. Find out more at auraorganic.com.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
Oh, it is the Mosley Show, making calls. We got breaking. We're looking at things, seeing if we have any breaking news to report to you. Z, I don't think I quite did a good job of branding it yesterday, but I was kind of this Clanderman thing happened, and I was, people were probably like, why is Mosley such a Clanderman expert, the Baylor defensive coordinator? I don't know if anybody said that, but it was mainly because I sat on that story, and it's a great lesson for all reporters worth their salt. And of course I knew, and I was getting antsy. And I kind of as a favor held off on it for a little bit, and then of course, and I was like, man, somebody's gonna, I got to get this out there. I got to get this out there, and I got burned. And again, it's okay. These things happen, and I assure you, I will. I'll just handle it a little differently next time, because that's what happens if you sit on a story for about 12, 16 hours. Somebody's going to put it out there. And in the whole scheme of the world, whether or not Mosley breaks the Joe Clanderman as defensive coordinator is probably not going to change anybody's life. But I kind of had the old juices flowing. Dang, I got to get this out there. Now, that happened, and I was a little frustrated about that whole situation. But anyway, no matter. I already had looked up all this Clanderman stuff, and so I put it all out there. Well, along the way, I get tipped off that by a longtime great friend, I just kind of get tipped off to something else that's happening. And somebody in the business, somebody out there in the industry, all right? And let's just say, I don't know, this is from a school somewhere in America. Does that really narrow it down for you? But I got wind of who the TCU offensive coordinator was going to be. And so that time I kind of couched it as I could see TCU zeroing in on whoever this was. Gordon Samus, I think is his name. And I kind of was getting the reaction of okay, what's going on? And why does Mosley care anything about TCU? What's going on here? And lo and behold, Z-Man, later that day, just about an hour or so later, Thamel comes with TCU hiring Gordon Samus, the UConn head coach. So anyway, I was dabbling. So every once in a while, I'll put my old news breaking hat on. There was a time, Z, where that's the way I lived. When I was on the Cowboys beat from 2003 to when, and of course, then I went to ESPN.com, I just stayed in a news breaking mode, and you're constantly trying to get scoops. And then sort of you get into broadcasting and everything, and you still kind of like doing stuff like that, but you sort of at some point realize people just want to react. They want to react to the news. It's great to have people like Shams and Adam Schefter and Pete Thamel, and they do a great service, and they get paid a ton of money to be the news breakers. But then what people really care about is, okay, give us the name. Okay, now let's all talk about it. Let's all formulate the opinions and all that kind of stuff. And that's what I really enjoy these days doing the most. I will tell you, Baylor got a guy is this going to change the trajectory of the program? No. Considering that Baylor had sort of a lame duck head coach and a guy that has probably Mac Rhodes would have fired. Z, by the way. Oh, yeah. Let's eliminate that one. Let's take that one out of the rotation, by the way, where Mac makes an appearance, okay? just so you know, I should have given you that. Z's filling in today, but we had a rare Mac appearance a minute ago in a commercial. So we've kind of we've tried to take that out of the rotation. So anyway, let's skip that if we can. But if Mac had have been still the AD, I mean, I think we all think we would have fired Dave Aranda, but Dave Aranda survived. He caught a break in a weird sort of way. And I said it at the time, and it turned out to be true. Dave Aranda got retained by the president because Baylor didn't have an AD. She didn't want to go out and try to hire a head coach without an AD, and that's fine. Okay, we've already visited about all that. But it's hard to put together like a great staff and go, hey, yeah, come work here. Like our head coach is probably going to get fired unless he just has some kind of huge turnaround. And it's really almost feels like he's an interim coach. But here's Klanderman at K-State. We don't know if Klein was going to retain him or not. But he had the fourth most takeaways in the country this year. He was 8th in plus minus, or he was an 8th in turnover margin. I mean, 2022, they won the conference title. And, I mean, number 9 OSU, they beat them 48-0. I mean, from 2022 to 2024, so y'all don't go, Mosley's talking about 1 year, that for like a 4-year period, including 2025, I mean, they're right up there, if not the best takeaway team in the country, right up there in the top 5. I mean, 2022 to 24, they had, I think, a combined 63 takeaways. This past year, they had 26 in one season. All right, so you do the math. I mean, we're talking, 89? 89 takeaways in like a 4-season, is it a 5-season span? A 4-season span. Not bad. Not bad. So that part of it's good. But then, of course, Drake and others, all these people, Z, that I tried to mentor in life, in their careers, and they don't always listen to me, sadly. Although I don't know, Drake's ended up, he just keeps getting all these great job offers, so good for him. But they hire Joe Klanderman, and the first thing he does is puts a meme or a GIF, whatever, the score, a screenshot of the score where they got beat 51-48 by Utah. All right. I mean, I don't know. Baylor had some great teams, by the way, for years, where they were having to win games 51-48 against teams like Texas Tech, against quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes. Okay, so let's not act like, oh my gosh, this guy is a horrible defensive coordinator because they gave up a huge amount of points to Utah. See what Baylor did against Utah? I think that guy's still running around. What's the guy's name? Bird Ficklin or something? Good gosh. Ran all day on the Bears. Is that I got the right team? Bird Ficklin. I think that's that Utah backup quarterback, just races around over everybody. So, man, there's a lot. There is a lot going on, and here I am also, Z. I'm trying to figure out when my daughter's coming home from A&M, because she's going to come home and she's going to turn around and go right back to College Station because she wants to be there for game day and all the fun stuff that's going to be happening down there when they host Miami. She is a freshman at Texas A&M. I have to say that out loud sometimes to remind myself that, yes, I do have a daughter that is going to Texas A&M. And you know what? We've actually had a lot of fun with it down there. And I've even been accused of becoming a little bit too Aggie friendly. Listen, I don't wear maroon. I don't wear Aggie stuff. I don't do any of that stuff. I don't go around doing the gig 'em. But I do have, my pride and joy is a freshman there. So I'm not going to I'm going to go into College Station sometimes. I'm going to go visit, and I'm going to go to a few games. So that has been quite an experience this year. One of the things we'll talk to Joey McGuire about is just the cool, because he's a child of the SWC like I am. And it's just so much fun. I mean, to see Tech and A&M, and I know people say, well, Matt, they left the Big 12. It doesn't matter. I mean, we all grew up on Jackie Sherrill and R.C. Slocum, and, some of you go way back to Ballard and maybe Tom Wilson, some of those people. We all grew up on all that stuff. Gene Stallings, if you want to go way back, then Stallings went and won a national title at Alabama, of course. We had Gene on the Matt Mosley show a few months ago, and that when he turned 90 years old on the occasion of his 90th birthday, Coach Stallings still sounds the same, still very strong, and still very, very alert at age 90, but always great to catch up with Coach. All right. I promise this, and let me throw on my glasses here because we do have some breaking news going on this Michigan front. And this was the arraignment for Sharon Moore. I mean, I read this Wall Street Journal story, and it kind of confirmed some of the details that John Bacon had, a historian for Michigan, longtime writer. You've seen him on TV. I've seen him on documentaries, and he did a pretty good job of reporting on this. During the arraignment, the prosecutor said, and again, Sharon Moore was in kind of a white-looking prison-type gear, and he did not have to come into the courtroom. I believe they had him coming in by video. Said the prosecutor says that Sharon Moore and the woman, again, this is allegedly the inappropriate relationship, and she was working as his executive assistant there at Michigan. And apparently it went on, according to Wall Street Journal, it started in 2022, and that one said it went through 2024. The way we're hearing this in court is that this relationship just broke up recently. Prosecutor says that, and they said she broke up. And in Wall Street Journal, it said she ended the relationship in 2024, by the way I read it. The prosecutor says that Sharon Moore and the woman had an intimate relationship for a number of years. Quote, our victim broke up with the defendant on Monday morning, talking about this past Monday morning. She presented herself to the school and corroborated the fact that they had a relationship. Now, let me give you the context of this. They had hired a law firm because a tipster had and I think October had said, hey, this thing's been going on, and they both denied it. But the investigation, I believe, continued to go from this law firm. All right. She says that Sharon Moore went to the woman's house. This is Wednesday when all this was going down. He got fired. He got emotional. I mean, honestly, given now that we're finding out more and more that he had a lot going on, should have had people, they should have had security around, they should have had a lot of things happening that they didn't. Ward Manuel, their AD, calls him in the office. Sharon Moore, according to Wall Street Journal, says, am I being fired? Ward Manuel says, yes, you are. They fire him. He leaves very emotional, goes to his home. This is according to Wall Street Journal. And they said he went and grabbed a knife. The alleged victim says in the arraignment earlier today, Sharon Moore went to the woman's house, grabbed butter knives and kitchen scissors, and threatened to kill himself. He threatened her that, quote, my blood is on your hands. Now, the charges are this. The arraignment was at noon today, our time. Sharon Moore has been charged with third-degree felony home invasion, misdemeanor stalking, and misdemeanor breaking and entering. And I'm looking at all these charges: home invasion in third degree, stalking, breaking and entering. And it said that he unlawfully entered the dwelling of a victim with whom he'd had a dating relationship, a violation of this statute. Okay. And then stalking charge for allegedly engaging in a willful course of conduct involving repeated or continuing harassment of the victim. Stalking is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year in jail, $1,000 fine. And then the home invasion for allegedly unlawfully entering the victim's residence to commit the crime of stalking and committing the crime while in residence. Home invasion is the third degree, is a felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison and a $2,000 fine. Now, what'll help him is he appears to have zero, other than the NCAA, getting in trouble with the NCAA, but that's not criminal. He appears to have zero history of criminal behavior, and so that may end up being a mitigating factor here. His attorney said My client is 39 years old, 0 prior criminal history, 0 contact with the criminal justice system. There's no evidence to suggest he's a threat to public safety. Really? I mean, I guess other than the fact he broke into somebody's house and grabbed a pair of scissors. Now, of course, I'm sure there'll be some jokes associated. And again, we say this because, like, we're glad nobody was injured here. Butter knives? I mean, that's okay. That's odd. I mean, can't do a whole lot of damage with a butter knife, but he may have been trying to grab anything and get his hands on there. He certainly did not seem to be in his right mind. His next hearing is on January 22nd, 2026. I mean, maybe there's sharper butter knives than what I'm used to. I'm just thinking about our Thanksgiving recently and just looking over there at the butter. And quite honestly, the butter had been kind of frozen too long, and I could not get the butter knife through the frozen butter there. The magistrate tells Sharon Moore he is not to use alcohol, marijuana, or any other substance that's not prescribed to him when out on bond. He must wear a GPS tether, continue all mental health treatment, and have no contact with the woman. So that is the latest of what's going on. Next hearing, January 22nd, 2026, and we'll see where these charges go. They'll try to get this thing pled down, lesser charges. I'd be surprised if there's any significant jail time. I do think he'll be going to mental counseling. He'll have to have the GPS on. There'll be all of that, but his main punishment will be he lost the job of a lifetime. 39 years old, huge job, big Michigan, a monster job. And of course, the rest of the football world will move on, and we'll turn our heads and we'll turn our attention, to who will get this job? Who is right for me? Is it Kalen DeBoer from Alabama? Would he like to leave Alabama to have the Michigan job? I don't know. I mean, you're stepping into another, you're going from one, extremely hard job and great job, I might add. I mean, there's people that joke that if Kalen DeBoer left, that Kiffin would be trying to get the Alabama job from LSU. Is the Alabama job better than the LSU job? Well, just yes, in prestige and basically what Saban turned it into. And then, of course, what Paul Bear Bryant turned it into from a prestige and just what they've done over the past 20 years. Yes, it's a bigger job than LSU, in my opinion. Is it a better job than LSU? I don't know. It's you could make arguments either way. I think I would probably argue yes, but I think if we talk to Kalen DeBoer today and we could talk to him privately, he may go, I don't know. I'm finding some things about this job that I don't like at all. He did get in. One of the great things about the job is you can get into CFP with 3 losses. You can lose to Florida State, get your rears handed to you by Georgia on a neutral field, and they go, well, it's Alabama. Man, they play a tough schedule, and they beat Georgia between the hedges, so they get in. Okay, there's that. So you got a lot going on. I would recommend this story at Michigan, reading that Wall Street Journal story that came out at about 10:30 this morning, behind the scenes of the 24 hours that plunged the Michigan football program into chaos. Looks like Lane Higgins was on that story and Ryan Felton, from what I can see. And who is this that put this out there? Senior sports reporter for Wall Street Journal, Rachel Bachman, put this out there as well. So good job by the Wall Street Journal with some breaking news. In fact, I'm going to follow all these people on Twitter. Now, the name that Josh Pate is throwing out for the Michigan job, and just a reminder why you want to stay with us, well, for a lot of reasons, but Joey McGuire will join us at about 2:20 today. And that's how our show will, it's going to be a big time. Number 4 in the country, the Red Raiders. There's a lot of ground we're going to cover. The value in the trenches, how they rebuilt that defensive line. And he knows it's out there. He knows the memes. He knows everybody's sending it out there. $28 million, their payroll for this year's team. All right. He pushes back on that some in this interview, I might add. And so there's going to be a lot of stuff that we'll get from this interview. And that's why I love working with the Z-Man, Zach Burke, and then Cam Stewart. I mean, Cam is one of those guys that Z, you've seen him do it. He likes to be, in front of the camera, and he likes to give opinions. And he likes to write a good, sensationalistic headline. But the man will also go kind of on the other side, and he put together wonderful shorts. He and Z both have the ability to really do some cool stuff, and they have helped my show immensely. So Z, if you ever hear somebody or me saying, "Oh my gosh, I've somehow, all these thousands of new subscribers that we have on YouTube," if I try to take all the credit for it, just know that you and Cam are playing a major role in this, and I'm very appreciative. And I will see to it that is reflected in your Christmas bonus. All right. Which I may put something in y'all's stocking. I got to figure out what I should do in that regard. But you guys have done an incredible job. All right. So at about 2:20, we will do that. Tell you what we need to do now, though, and I got a lot more to share, and I got some Cowboys to get into. Let's take care of our partners. Thank you, C&B. Thank you, Central National Bank. And I tell you what, Z-Man, can you put our trivia question up? Can you put our Schmaltz's trivia question? There it is, Trivia Thursday. Schmaltz, and some of you might have deduced that today's Friday, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it on Friday, and I'm going to make this fairly easy. Now, again, I addressed this in the interview coming up with Joey McGuire. Okay, we're going to air that interview at 2:20 today. At 2:20, you'll get to see the interview we did with Joey McGuire. Z has it all. It'll be fun, and a lot of you are joining us via Twitter. A lot of tech people. Just know, I didn't turn this into a Baylor thing. We did talk some Baylor at the start, but there's a lot of other stuff. And I thought the Baron Morton stuff was really good too. Like how important Baron Morton has been with that program, some of the things he's been injury-wise, some of the things he's dealt with, and then just some of he and Joey just have a real kinship, and the fact that they walked out of that Big 12 championship arm in arm, that is something we will discuss too. The trivia question is this, and Z, you can't win, although I will see to it that you get 2 free sandwiches at Schmaltz soon. And you can leave the Rogue Studios and literally go around the corner, go over there on Franklin or whatever it is, kind of right off Franklin. What is that, 5th or 4th over there that runs by it? And you can go right over there to my favorite sandwich spot, Schmaltz's. Do you do that sometimes, Z?
Sure. I didn't want to interrupt too much, but I wanted to say I almost did it for lunch today because it is literally just catty cornered for us there on 5th and Franklin, where we just leave the lobby and walk right across to it.
Yeah. And then, of course, Scotty Z will go over to Dichotomy and get himself like just a little, cold vanilla latte for about, I'm not going to say, but they're very proud of them over there. But I tell you what, they're also doing an unbelievable job on their decor. I got to say, if I put that much into unbelievable themes and decor, I might go ahead and charge a little money for some coffee. But he gets all those. Z, you'd hate. If you had to walk in there with Scotty and you heard what he ordered, you would turn around and walk out, because he orders the Cindy Lou Who. That's right. The Cindy Lou Who drink. They have all these like Christmas themes. That's a neat place. But hey, right now we're talking about Schmaltz's. One of the great sandwiches. I love what they do. I love their bread. And sometimes they'll do the jalapeno bread, the sourdough, the bread quality is unbelievable. That helps make a sandwich. For people like me that are constantly trying to lose weight, sometimes we'll take the bun off at places. I don't do that at Schmaltz's because the bun and the bread helps make it. And so then it's real crispy. I tell them to do it twice baked. I like a real well done crispy bread. And then I get the Schmaltz. And that's all salami, all the meat that you can stand. And I don't do olives and I don't do onions, but everything else. I do mustard, no mayo. It's a beautiful sandwich. And then you can get the potato salad, which I like to do. In fact, their potato salad reminds me of another one of my favorite potato salads in town. Vitex has a great kind of a dill. There's a sweetness or there's something to it that I just love, and I like mustard potato salad. Or you can get chips or whatever you want. Okay, golly, am I making you hungry, Z? I'm making myself hungry. Here's the trivia question. Here's how you win. And Z, I hope you can see in our live YouTube, people will come in with answers to this and they'll comment. And then what we'll need to do, Z, is we'll get back to them and give them like an address or whatever, and we'll share that with them. There's a way to do this. And so what they'll need to do if they win is get back to us. Look at you, Z. Look at me. I'm scaring people with these eyes. There I am. Thanks, Z. Email Scotty to arrange pickup of your Schmaltz's coupon. I'm going to give you 2 coupons, by the way, 2 free sandwiches. And there's Scotty's email, Scotty@roguemedianetwork.com. Scotty@roguemedianetwork.com. So keep that in mind. Here is my question. What year did Tech win its last outright championship before it won the other day? What year did Texas Tech, we're asking this because Joey McGuire is our guest and he's coming up. What year did Texas Tech win its last outright? Don't bring up the one in 94 where like 5 teams tied for one. I don't want that one. I think that was Zebby Lethridge, and maybe they went to the Cotton Bowl and USC crushed them. That was Zebby Lethridge and some of those guys. But that's what I want you to come up with. And in the comments, and this is why if you're watching us on Twitter, you should go sign up for YouTube. And you just all you do is subscribe for free, and then you can put comments. And a lot of times we'll take your comments and put them up on the screen. It's kind of a fun little thing, and it's a nice way for us to interact. At some point, I'll find out a way where people can actually call in live. I bet we could do it. It's just not something I've spent a lot of time on. Or you can reach out to me via Twitter. I'm at Matt Mosley, MattMosley. Again, the question is the last outright conference championship for Texas Tech. What year was it? And we'll see how quickly we get a response here. I bet somebody gets it pretty quick. Somebody was trying to text me, Z, so I was going to make sure it wasn't you. No, somebody else. All right, so there it is. Tell you what we'll do. We will take a quick break. Thank you, Central National Bank. Thank you for all our sponsors. Thank you, Brazos Landing. My goodness, we appreciate you. Brazos Landing, talking to Becky Lindsay last night. I talked to Dennis Lindsay, not related, but great friends with the Lindsays. And again, they treated him like a son, and he and Melvin Hunt played together. They were great friends with Melvin and Dennis and the whole gang, but they own the Brazos Landing, and it's one of the great restaurants. Becky and Claude have become really good friends of mine, and it's just it's a wonderful place to visit in town. So I get my sandwiches at Schmaltz, and then I have this salad, and I have this bang bang shrimp that I get over at the Brazos Landing. So we're very, very pleased with the Brazos Landing. All right, we got more to do, and I got a couple of Cowboys nuggets to share, as we have heard from Brian Schotty Schottenheimer earlier today, and then it will be time for our interview with with Joey McGuire, Texas Tech head football coach.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. When it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. But with the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. If you receive a call from someone claiming to be from a company, don't give them your personal information, ever. Unless you know them personally, hang up and call the company back on a verified number.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia. Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com.
A house is a property, but we live in homes. Home sweet home. Homes where the heart is. We aim to deliver the best home buying and selling experience so you can spend less time real estating and more time living.
WhyPersonalLoans.com. Request a loan anytime. Our partners can offer loans up to $35,000 with varying rates and terms. Review your loan offer with no obligation and decide what works for you. Visit PersonalLoans.com today.
This is what $500,000 in a duffel bag looks like. Actually not real. That's because it's actually prop money. It looks realistic from a distance, but up close you can see it says for motion picture purposes. Visit PropMoney.com today to get your money seen or money shot right with Prop Money Inc.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ULIKE.com. U-Like.
VivoSun's mission is to empower growers with stylish and effective products, making indoor growing accessible and enjoyable for everyone. Visit VivoSun.com today and get started making growing plants and vegetables easy and automatic.
There it is, the Mosley Show. And we're about 9 minutes from, we'll turn you over to Joey McGuire. I'm sure we've got people out there just like, Mosley, stop teasing us with this. That's what you do. That's kind of what you do in the business. And we've been so pleased to have, and I love talking about, in this interview, you'll hear us talk about some of these incredible transfers that they landed, and you go, oh, Mosley, well, they had like, $28 billion. Well, I mean, again, you can have this huge war chest. You still kind of have to connect. Like, you don't think some of these other schools like LSU and Auburn and, all these places, Florida, you think Florida just told Napier, man, we're excited about the next coach, so we're not going to give you any money to work with. I mean, they poured tons of money into their classes. So I do think Joey will push back on some of that. I know he will, on some of these claims of, oh my gosh, you just outspend everybody. I think, and Z-Man, you can come on here with me on this. I think that I kind of think that he's one, in my mind, one of the things he's trying to say is that, look at you with your mic. It's like you're going to walk out and MC something. I think he's basically saying that, hey, we do not have the biggest payroll in the CFP because, of course, what everybody talks, because nobody really expects Texas Tech to crash this party. The truth is, why would you have expected Texas A&M to crash this party? They haven't crashed the party in the history of the CFP. They had a great season in a year where what did they do? 2020. Remember, they went like 9-1. That was Jimbo's best season. Mm-hmm. It's not like they're dropping by the CFP every year. JMU, Tulane, obviously they're not. That's special circumstances that would let them into something like this. But I think Joey is a little bit tired because in his defense, he shouldn't have to defend somebody that's in, number 4 in the country. They did get it right. They didn't just because you pay some dudes same thing with Indiana. He brought some people with him from JMU. Is that over the years, have we thought that was any recipe for success? Oh, this coach, they hired this coach, and he's going to bring a bunch of people from JMU. Nobody paid any attention, right? And then Surratt and that number 92 and the guy who sadly got hurt trying to celebrate with fans after the game. All those transfers that Indiana brought in, they hit. Was that they just have some war chest? No. It's like Signetti figured something out. In fact, somebody did some huge story in recent days that I meant to read before the show today, Z, and it's like the Signetti, the story of him putting this team together or putting this program together. I want to get it. Selfishly, I want to be like, well, Baylor should be reading this story, right? And again, not everybody can do what Indiana has done. I would say Indiana, and they're going to be on 60 Minutes, by the way, Sunday, Z. I just saw that. Which is funny because, to your generation and younger, Z, 60 Minutes is probably not that huge of a deal.
It was
enough to remember it being a big, big deal, right?
Yeah. Ed Bradley. Yeah.
There you go. And Mike Wallace.
Yeah, Mike Wallace too. It was, and who was it that always had Rooney?
Andy
there
Rooney.
we go. Yeah.
Wait, Andy Rooney?
It was
the famous actor. Was that Andy Rooney?
Yeah, is Andy from Breakfast at Tiffany's. I'll figure this out.
Wait, Andy
No,
Rooney?
it is Andy. Then who? Oh, Mickey. Mickey's the actor.
Mickey's the actor. And I was right. Andy Rooney. Okay, yeah. I started to question myself too, just like you were. Well, now we got to name them all. Ed Bradley, Morley Safer.
Yeah. You
Mike
said Mike Wallace
Wallace.
already.
What was the first spell they had on over the years?
It has been a while since.
And of course, now we know all the people. Pelly joined them, and then they took him off CBS, and so he was kind of for a while the kind of young buck.
Was Leslie Stahl on there?
She still is.
Is she?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you already said, yeah.
And that may have been, I feel like there's probably a female part of that before Leslie Stahl, because when you go back to the first females to really break the barrier in that realm and news, it'd be Young. That was
I looked it up.
NBC. Yeah.
Diane Sawyer was a part-time correspondent for a while.
And she was the first? First female?
I'm looking. I think so. Yeah, I think she was 81 to 84, 84 to 89.
I like how you have your laptop or whatever just right up in front of your eyes there. It's a good. I wish I could figure out how to do all these things. Okay, we're about to throw it to it. We are only 3 minutes away. One of the longest teases I've ever done in my career. I do like this concept that we'll talk to Joey about, Z. Production over potential. I used to hear scouts talk about, don't take developmental players. That'll kill you in the draft. Don't take, and the bottom line is, they don't care. Think about how forever Texas Tech and others would have killed to have 4 and 5 stars. And let's get these 5-star players. And yet, even a year or two removed from some of those players being, and they go to some place like Alabama or wherever, and they decide they're too far away from home, or they're not getting playing time, or they want to come home. It's production over potential. And Baylor's gotten burned on some of that. It's like, wait, this guy, oh my gosh, one point, this guy was a 4-star. This guy was a 5-star. We can get, and I think in the media, we get completely intoxicated with that. You would rather a guy, and unfortunately Baylor had a guy like this from Northwestern who actually, I think, had played some at Northwestern, pretty good player, like a safety. I think his name was maybe Devin Turner. And it's Devin Turner, and there's a Trey Turner. Anyway, I think it was Devin Turner. And he got hurt. But you want, the guy that they got, Matthew Fobbs-White, at least had wherever he came from. Was that Tulane? Some of those guys had come from places where they'd actually had some real production, right? And even with Keaton, he'd been at West Virginia. Then he went to JUCO, and he'd been hugely productive in JUCO. I got no problem. I mean, JUCO, yeah, you got to look at the level of competition. But if you're like one of the best JUCO players in the country, you should be able to play for Baylor. You should be able to play for some of these schools. They got David Bailey, this Hunter, Lee Hunter, Romello Height. It's unbelievable what they had. And they added them to some dudes they had coming back. And they also got that guy, I think his name is like Skylar Howard or something like that. Skylar Howard. And he got hurt. But he was a part of the Tech, that portal thing. Every school, you shouldn't be saying, well, we just don't have that money. We don't have enough of that money. You better get past the fact that you don't have that much money and go, why did they pick these players? What did those players have in common other than they wanted to make a bunch of money at Texas Tech? Every one of them has hit. Bailey's going to be like number 6 in the NFL draft. Hunter's going to be a draft pick. Romello Height, freaking the best player in the country from a defensive standpoint, Jacob Rodriguez, was a quarterback. He transferred him from Virginia like 3 years ago. Was it Virginia? I think it was. And he was a quarterback. And I think literally Joey's told the story. He told somebody, he's like, yeah, he could probably play for me, but he's going to have to play linebacker. He did play linebacker, and he ended up becoming one of the greatest linebackers in Tech history. Is he the greatest? Maybe. I mean, come on now. Zach was pretty dang good. Whoa. Back in the day. I mean, that's a playing dude right there who played for the Dolphins. In fact, a little bit for the Cowboys. In fact, I was covering the Cowboys when Zach arrived later in his career. I played with Jason, who was the big pass rusher for the
Jason Taylor.
Played with Jason Taylor with the Dolphins, Zach Thomas, and
I think was Sayal on one of those. I know he was with the Dolphins later, but I think the two of them might have been in the same linebacking core.
Could have been, and that was a tragic. We lost Sayal way too early after his career, but my goodness, was he a player. Did Sayal ever spend a little time with the Patriots?
Yeah, I think that's where he ended. I think it was Chargers to Dolphins to Patriots, and that's where. Yeah.
See, that's why, Z, I need you at my side, because you can do kind of like what Simcox used to do for me, which was like when my mind starts. I mean, like, and I'll try to be thinking about something from the 80s or 90s, and even though you and Simcox are very young guys, y'all can reach back there and grab all those names, and I am very appreciative of that.
Yes, we're getting into the guys that I still remember though, so it's not like I have to look up too much.
Good.
If we go a little bit early, like once we get into the early 80s, is when I start getting my problems there.
Yeah, and Cam, for a really young guy, actually has really good sports knowledge. I wouldn't want him to hear me bragging on him like that, because he'll get soft on me, and he hates compliments. I mean, he just really struggles with them. Okay. Our show ends at 3, and now it is time. We sat down with the head coach at Texas Tech earlier this morning. Here is Joey McGuire on the Matt Mosley Show here at Rogue Media Network. Matt Mosley, the Matt Mosley Show, and Joey McGuire joining us now. And Joey, I mean, for years, Texas Tech was sort of the, underdog, scrappy, and I'm sure you'll try to, in some ways, keep some of that mentality. But, man, there's no hiding this. You guys have become the bullies. You got a bye in the first round of CFP. Let me start out by just congratulating you, because, I mean, you kind of tried to paint this vision and talk about where Tech was headed. And I think people were probably like, well, okay, maybe. And then it's now happened. It's come to fruition. And now you guys get to wait and see who your opponent will be in the Orange Bowl. So congratulations. How are things going? Has it been a lot of fun since winning that Big 12 championship game?
Well, first, thanks for having me, man. I will tell you, last Saturday was just absolutely unbelievable. I mean, Red Raiders have been waiting for this for a long time. It was really cool going into the week. I was getting so many messages and cards and letters sent to the football facility just saying, hey, we've been waiting for this, as long as as we can remember. And they showed up, man. It was a packed house. It was really loud, and it was incredible. You know, I didn't get to, I'd already come here, so I didn't get to experience the Baylor 2021 Big 12 championship. And so missed out on that, but, you know, got to be a part of this one, and it was absolutely incredible.
I mean, did the Bears get you a ring at least or something? You were a big part of that season. I want to make sure you were taken care of.
Yeah, they did, man. They did. They treated me well.
Yeah, I had a vision of you after I think Baylor beat 2021 before you had taken the tech job. You all beat the University of Texas. I think that game was in Waco that year. And I just have some memory of you and the coaches down there. It was just a different level of excitement. And I don't even remember if UT was that great then, but I think y'all had been down by 10. You came back. Y'all might have been down like 24-14 or something. Came back, won that game. But I remember for that staff and everybody, it was just, that was a big moment. Does that ring true to you? Do you remember that? Because I kind of have this vision of y'all celebrating down there on the field.
Yeah, that was incredible, man. Jalen Petrie and Terrell Menard played their tails off. You know, Jalen had some big plays for negative, you know, tackles for loss. And, you know, that was a big moment. You know, that was such a good team. And you know, you've got Jalen Petrie playing lights out in the NFL. You've got Tyquan Thornton playing lights out in the NFL. You've got Terrell Bernard. He's a captain for the Buffalo Bills. And, man, that was such a great team, man. I remember that. You're 100% right on those moments.
Does Jacob Rodriguez the other day, you know, you got another linebacker that was just like everything that touched his hands. You know, he was reeling in there. Any of those, do you have any? I mean, does anybody remind you of Bernard or Petrie the other night? You saw him for the Texans, just completely like one of the more violent hits we've seen in a while. You know, he's probably one of the nicer, greatest young men you could ever meet, and yet he's probably one of the most violent players in the NFL, which is kind of an interesting. But again, clean. I don't think anybody would say, "Oh, the guy's gonna, you know, play dirty or anything." Any of those. Any of these guys Rodriguez is such an incredible story because, you know, he's a quarterback. And I think I heard you on an interview recently kind of joking like, yeah, he can come here if he'll play linebacker. And not only does he play linebacker for you, and that's kind of like an old Gary Patterson thing, isn't it? Kind of having that vision, okay, maybe we could cast him as something else. But not only does he play linebacker, but he becomes the best defensive player in the country, and now he's winning the awards to show that. I mean, that's got to be one of the more remarkable things you've ever been a part of.
Yeah, it's awesome. You know, when I first got the job, Jalen and Terrell, we and Tyquan, a lot of those guys. I mean, I still stay connected. Ben Sims, a lot of those Baylor players, I'm really close with. But when I first got the job, Terrell and Jalen came out and spoke to the team and talked about, you know, how they changed and became who they are. And, you know, the Jacob Rodriguez was in the room. Ben Roberts, number 13, that was the defensive player of the game or the player of the game. He was in the room, and they remind me a lot of those guys. They're very serious about playing football. They spend a lot of time watching film. They play off of each other. John Curry, we call them the stash crew because all of them have mustaches. The 6, 13, and 10, they all have really good mustaches. You know, and they're a lot like those guys. They love football and they love playing with each other. And so it was good to have those two come out and really pour into these guys, you know, help them become better football players.
Could you have grown up a pretty good mustache in your college days, or was that? I don't think I was capable of it, and I don't even remember shaving really much in college. You know, is that? I mean, that's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
When those guys can have one of those nice dark mustaches.
Yeah, I think it was 2010 because we always did something at Cedar Hill as coaches going into the playoffs, and in 2010. We all grew mustaches, and I think Debbie, actually, my wife, I think she wanted us to lose because she hated mine so bad. I'm not one of those people that look good with a mustache, and so she actually, I could grow one, but she actually was like, she was actually hoping, I think, we would lose.
That 2021 season we were just talking about, and then you remember you stayed with Baylor. A lot of Baylor people now I know come up to you and go, "Oh, we should have hired you, Joey," and everything. But you turn down UTSA, you get passed over. Dave Aranda gets hired at Baylor. Looking back, Joey, what did that do to you? Like, did that drive you to, not that you could, I don't know, you worked very hard anyway, but did that drive you to add anything to what you were doing or motivate you? We're always a lot of times looking for things that motivate us in life. That moment where you didn't really get maybe the consideration that a lot of people perhaps thought you deserved, but you decided to stay at Baylor. Was that kind of a watershed moment or a turning point in your career?
I always tell everybody, man, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't spent 5 years at Baylor working for Matt Rule and Dave Aranda, and I'm always very grateful for Coach Aranda. I mean, he knows this. You usually, if you interview for a job, you're usually not staying at that job. And, it was Garrett's senior year. He kept me. He put Garrett on scholarship. Garrett earned it, but Coach Aranda put him on scholarship. So I'm always grateful, and I'm always grateful for my time. I think more than anything, it prepared me for the interview for Texas Tech. Marcus Sedberry was in on that interview committee. And whenever I was getting ready to interview for Texas Tech, I was able to call him and say, okay, where did I go wrong? Where could I have been better? And he, again, talked me through, what I could do better. So I think more than anything, that was, that. I completely understand. LSU won a national championship. Coach Aranda was the defensive coordinator for that team, and and he got the job, and he's won a Big 12 championship. You can't take that away from what they've done there, and so I appreciate my time at Baylor. I have some great friends and great memories at that place, and I always do love. And I tell Baylor fans whenever they come up to me, or alumni, man, thank you. We appreciate you. And I say the same thing, man. I'm rooting for Baylor. Unless we're playing them, I'm rooting for Baylor every single week.
Yeah. I wish you hadn't taken so many talented staffers with you is the only issue there. Yeah. How are you using, Joey, the long break to your advantage? Because the natural question will be, rest versus rust, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
How do you stay, in the flow? And so now that teams are having to play, that maybe we're going to have a bye, they're kind of like, well, we're glad we get to play, but obviously you need to keep your team both. It's probably great to get maybe even get some guys back, get them healthy, but it is a long layoff. Is it almost kind of like you just treat it like you would preparing for a bowl, like you've done for the last several years? How are you approaching this?
Well, I just wrote rest versus rust down. I'm going to use it in my PowerPoint whenever we, so thank you for that.
Okay.
We're an old team. There's only been one team we've played this year, maybe two, but when we do our advanced scouting, Houston was the only team that we played this year that had more snaps than we did as a team. So we're an old football team. So, I think that's going to play to our advantage of being ready to go. But we needed it, like I call it football banged up. It's what every team is this time of year. But I felt like, and we talked about winning that game to get the bye. I felt like if it gave us time for our quarterback and, our three linebackers, or a star and two linebackers have been playing banged up. Our left tackle was banged up going into the Big 12 championship game. The healthier we could be, the better chance we had. And then, quite frankly, if you want to look at it, you have to win one less game whenever you get the bye. And you never know what's going to happen in that game. How banged up do you get coming out of that first round game to go to the quarterfinals? And so we talked about, hey, we're playing for something. We knew BYU was playing for something. They were playing to get in the playoffs. We were playing for that bye, and our guys really wanted that bye.
You could also tell the story of some of our friends going to Cabo during one bye. If you think about the Dallas Cowboys many years ago, that would have been
No doubt.
2007 season, by the way. But yeah, I don't think any of your guys are going to try to run off and go to Cabo, but you remember that story well.
Oh, yeah.
I think people think about when you said there's another gear for us. I think that's interesting because, I mean, and that was one of the things I was going to ask you is like how you've evolved. Like, what's the biggest difference in this team now than day one? And then what is that next gear for this Texas Tech team in your mind?
Well, one, getting our quarterback is healthy. He's actually the last two games, the West Virginia game and the BYU game, he's been a lot more mobile, where he hasn't been, especially the first time we played BYU and we played UCF. So him getting healthy, I think that helps a bunch. And then just the hunger of this team of wanting to get to the next game. I think you're just going to see that they're going to play harder and harder. And our guys play extremely hard. Our defense reminds me a lot of the 2019 Baylor defense, the 2021 Baylor defense, just how hard those guys played. You had a lot of vets on both of those defenses. And so I think that's where we have another gear. A lot of it has to do with it, quarterback feeling better and better every single week.
Man, he has been so important to your program. And in this era of quarterbacks coming and going and getting paid here and there, I guess it was helpful, wasn't it, to have a kid who'd always wanted to play at Tech. I believe he's from Eastland, Texas. How big a role did that play? And it's like y'all had to kind of continue to make the commitment to him, but in some ways he had to continue to make the commitment to you guys in this crazy kind of portal world that we live in now. What has he meant to Tech, especially like this season, even when y'all changed or when he was hurt? I do think in that, your backup came in and did such a nice job in that Utah game that there were probably people going, you know what, that guy's pretty dang good, and he probably is. But I think people maybe have more of an appreciation for Barron than they've ever had about right now.
Yeah, really cool story. In June, we were both talking, and we were walking out of the building together, and we were talking and we both said, hey, look, man, when we win this Big 12, we knew we were a good football team. When we win the Big 12, let's walk out of the stadium together, because we have a lot of doubters. People have doubted Barron Morton, one, because he's been banged up, but he plays through a lot of stuff. He's the toughest kid I've ever coached. And he's played through a lot of stuff where a lot of quarterbacks wouldn't have. And then, people have doubted me. I still get, if I lose a game, I still get, he's just a high school coach, and so I said, let's prove some people wrong. Let's walk out of the stadium together. And his dad sent me a text going into the Big 12 championship week, and he said, I want two things. He said, number one, I want y'all to go win the Big 12 championship. He said, number two, I want a picture of you and Barron walking out of the stadium together. And we did it. We both said going into that game, hey, when this is all over, there's going to be confetti. We're going to be up on stage, all this stuff. Neither one of us leave without each other. And it was really cool. Like after it was all over and pictures and all this stuff, I turned to him. I said, you ready to go? And he said, I'm ready to go, coach. And we were walking out together and had our guns up. And, I think people are really starting to appreciate him that didn't before, that didn't understand, some of the stuff that he went through and some of the stuff he played through. And, man, he's special. He'll leave. He was born in Lubbock. This is his dream school. He graduated from Texas Tech. He'll leave as one of the all-time greats, without a doubt.
Man, it's fun to watch, and he's a tough kid. And again, like you say, he's had his ups and downs, and it'd be, I can remember, but when he's on, and right now the team seems to be rallying around him. He does not seem like a guy, though, that's comfortable. He does not want to grow the mustache. He seems like a guy who's comfortable without one. The D line is unbelievable. Lee David, I heard you talking about Romello Height recently, and the list goes on and on. You talked about people that last year were starters, and they had to accept, okay, do I want to, I mean, they're bringing all these people in here. Do I want to be a part of a rotation? You know, what is this going to be like? First of all, what are you and Blanchard and others in your personnel department when you say this is what I want or this is what I'm looking at? What are those traits? Because listen, even at Baylor, I heard it the other day. Got to build inside out. Got to go build inside out. Got to start over. Got to look at our evaluation process. Where is that? I don't want to do everything in the context of Baylor, but just at Tech, what are those traits that you're saying to Blanchard or your group when y'all meet? Here's what I want. And then what do they kind of bring to you? Because you kind of get final say, obviously, because y'all seem to have like hit on all these guys.
Yeah. So it starts with production over potential. You know, I don't care. Like when it first, we'll start with the transfer portal. You know, I don't care how many stars they had coming out of high school. We're not paying for that. We're not going to evaluate what they did in high school. It's production over potential. What they're doing, you know, no matter what level they were at, how productive are they? We also really try to look at like what kind of person they were on their previous team. Were they a team captain, you know, or did they go to media day? Did they, you know, did the former coach of who they played for, you know, did they think of them that way? So we're looking for a lot of stuff like that and intangibles. But the biggest thing is, you know, how many snaps? Because if they're a backup for another team, they're going to be a backup for us, you know, and so we're not looking for that. We're looking for guys that could start and be extremely productive. And, you know, we spent, I mean, in this day and age, everybody's got a payroll, you know, and trust me, we don't have the highest payroll, even though a lot of people want to say that because Texas Tech's never been where they're at right now. So that's the easy way for them to say, you know, there's a lot of guys in the playoffs right now that have a higher payroll than we do. And so the one thing we did do, though, we wanted to value the trenches and we wanted to make sure that we were better up front on both sides of the ball to try to go win the Big 12. So whenever we looked at who we were going to bring in, you know, we brought in Lee Hunter, A.J. Holmes, Skylar Gill-Howard, David Bailey, Romello Height. So there's 5 D linemen right there that we brought in. You know, when you turn around on the offensive side of the ball, you know, we brought in Will Jadis and we brought in Hunter Zambrano, who hadn't played this year, that we'll get back. We were able to, he got really banged up, and so we were able to get him back through medical. But we were able to get, you know, Howard Sampson. So we were really pushing hard for big people, you know, and Blanchard always says when we're talking about D linemen, what would the Philadelphia Eagles do? They would just go draft another defensive lineman. And that's really what we look at. You know, like if we're looking at a spot to where we can add, we're trying to add in the D line and the O line.
Yeah, well, what they would do is take a kid from Georgia is generally what they would do, but maybe it'll become take a kid from Texas Tech, right? And more teams have done that, and I think Bailey is showing up at number 6 on some of these mock drafts. You know, that's interesting that Texas Tech had not had that outright championship since like something insane, like 1955. Yeah. I bet you have heard from a lot of interesting folks. You talked about some of the notes you got, but I mean, you think about, and even going back before Cody Campbell and Sellers and all those guys, like the people that have played there for generations, some great players, I think of Zach and some of those, but I bet that there's an immense amount of pride in y'all doing that. And even though this conference now looks way different than the conferences they played in and everything, it's got to be just a huge source of pride for everybody, I would think. Yeah, it is, man. It's, you know, I've gotten notes from different people that, hey, man, I've been waiting all my life. I've gotten notes from, you know, guys, man, my dad would be so proud. One of our, the guy that's over our really kind of media creative teams and all that stuff, Robert Giovanetti, everybody calls him Gio. You know, he
he was smiling, and then he was riding on the 5th bus, and my wife was on that bus, and she said as he was pulling into the stadium, he was getting teared up. And he was talking about how growing up they had season tickets, and his dad was always a Red Raider fan, that and he was like, man, my dad would love this moment. So there is so many people that are so excited about what we've done and the potential of what we get to do getting into these playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be great, and it's not that far off. And I also with the CFP like it is, Joey, A&M having the year they've had. You and I both grew up as children of the SWC, and we loved it, and we loved all those teams and everything. But how cool is that to have Tech and A&M? And I know people, some Tech people are like, hey, we need to be the team that ends up in Arlington. I know where your focus is. It's like, let's win this first game before we worry about where we end up being. But from an old SWC nostalgia deal, that's pretty awesome, isn't it, to see a couple of old SWC foes in the middle of this thing?
Yeah, it is, and it's great. Whenever I've talked to Aggies, I've got one of my best friends. He's an Aggie. I think we all have one at least. They're doing the same thing. I mean, they haven't been this is as easily, if not one of the most successful since you go back to their days of the 50s and 40s and 50s, that they're at a point that they haven't been at. And so it's awesome for two Texas teams to be able to do what we're doing, and there's some really good teams, in the state of Texas that had great years. North Texas, Eric Morris had a great year. Willie Fritz at Houston had a great year, and did a really good job with that Houston team. And so it's fun. It's fun to see those guys, but it's really cool to see A&M and Texas Tech in the college football playoffs.
All right. And Joey, do you have to put an asterisk on this 12-1 record though, or because you didn't play Baylor this season?
No, man. I'll take the 12 wins, trying to get to 13, 14, and 15. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be 15-1.
Yeah.
Got to get to 13 before we can get there. But
yeah.
Now we get Baylor in Waco next year, so
Yeah.
we'll be ready for that.
All right. Yeah. Some of us were kind of mad that, that's a great, long, fun rivalry. And I know you can't get everything right in a conference, and you got to protect certain things, but I may try to take over scheduling moving forward. I know you would. But anyway, that'll be good to get everybody back together. Joey, I appreciate it. It's been fun watching you on the shows, watching you. I thought, what's his name just fell in love with you, Pat McAfee.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
That crew, and you got to watch it because those guys are allowed to say anything. I guess I could on YouTube, but you know me, I'm too Baptist to throw out too much language. But one of those guys dropped an F-bomb on you. I'm like, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my!
I started laughing. It was good, man. Pretty incredible.
Yeah. All right. We got Ric Flair. Anybody coming out for anything or anything we need to?
No, not that I know of.
All right. Hey, I appreciate you doing this, and I man, wish you guys the best of luck, and man, go win this thing.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, man.
All right, there he goes, Joey McGuire, joining the Matt Mosley Show here on Rogue Media Network, and we appreciate him so much. And Joey, been a great friend for a lot of years, and was an incredible high school coach. Won all those state titles right there at Cedar Hill, and then he put it off for a while, but then he became a college coach, and the rest is history. So good to have him on, especially at a time when Tech's getting ready to go on this big run. It's a really cool thing. Thank you for everybody who was a part of this thing today. Thank you to the Z-Man for subbing in, doing a great job for us. It is the Matt Mosley Show. We will see you Monday at 1:00.